Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Warhammer 40,000 8th edition. This very brown battlefield you're looking at today represents a field of war on the Forge world of Fortis Primaris. It's an Adeptus Mechanicus Forge world. It was, technically still is, ruled by the Adeptus Mechanicus, the tech priests from Mars who worship the machine god. This place has been ravaged and destroyed, as you can see. An Ork war recently came into this sector and overran all of their planetary defences and made planetfall very quickly. But the Adeptus Mechanicus of this Forge world, in their arrogance, they decided that they didn't need help. They thought their Skitarii legions, their Titans, their Imperial Knights could handle the Orks. They were sorely mistaken. And this carnage you see on this wasted battlefield here is the result. Eventually, when 2/3 of the planet were lost, they made a distress call, which has been answered by the forces of the Imperium at large. In this case, my Space Marine chapter, the Revenants, have arrived as part of their ongoing penitent crusade in this sector. Today, we have a ruined section of the Manufactorum district. I think, as you can see, it's all covered in rust, it's crumbling down, it's suffered bombardments as well as toxic acid rain that's common to this planet. And in the middle of it all, we have a huge supply cache here. Now, this has been dropped here by the Imperium. The Space Marines, the Revenants, they're here to secure this. The Orks, on the other hand, they have different ideas. If they can't loot it, they're going to try and blow it up. And the Space Marines simply really don't know what's coming. The strange atmosphere on this planet, all the pollutants, they're messing with their Auspex scans and equipment. They don't have much line of sight in this area. And there's a small group of sentries that are going to be patrolling around here, guarding the crates and generally just keeping watch. But they're not expecting the Orks to be cunning enough to actually make it around here to behind the front lines, out here on the flanks of the main front line, and actually attack this place. That's why they chose it as a secure location for these supplies here. But as we all know, Orks are cunningly brutal, or brutally cunning, one of the two. And the Space Marines, unfortunately, have a surprise in store. So the mission we're using today is from the narrative section of the rulebook. I don't see a lot of people using the narrative missions, to be honest with you, so I thought we'd give this a try today. We're using the mission called Sabotage. Now, the way this, generally speaking, works is the battlefield is divided between the attacker and the defender, attacker in green here, and we have the objective in the centre, which in this case is the huge pile of munitions. The idea is the attacker will come in, try and sneak in, past the sentries, which will be posted around here, individual models that will be controlled independently, and their movement will, at least to begin with, be randomly determined. And the Orks will need to try and sneak in and plant as many explosives as they can on the objective, and at the end of the game we will roll a dice, add the number of explosives that were placed on the objective, and if the roll is a 7+, it goes kaboom, and the Orks win. If it doesn't go kaboom, the Space Marines win. It's very simple, really, but that's the general gist of it. We also have a few other stratagems we can employ here using our command points. We'll get to those as and when they become relevant, and it will be random turn length. So on turn 5, at the end of it, we'll roll off to see if the game continues. And that's about all there is as far as the mission goes. Joining me today on the channel for our first ever bat rap is Bob, who has brought his Orks down.
Hi, Bob.
Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
We gotta do this tradition and stuff, right? So, right. So we are gonna go cut to the deployment, which, because of the magic of filmmaking, we've actually already done, but we're going to cut now to the deployment as you are watching it, dear audience. And, not the deployment, sorry, the armies. And this narration thing is actually really hard, as it turns out. I'm sorry, man. My brain cells, they're dying right now. The camera's sucking up like a vampire. So, yeah, we're going to cut to the armies.
More tea.
Yeah, more tea, that's what I need. So we're going to cut to the armies, followed by the deployment. Okay, so this is just shy of 2,000 points of my Space Marine chapter, the Revenants. It's a mostly infantry-based army due to the scenario, which recommends mostly just using infantry and as few vehicles as possible. So what we've got is this army led by Captain Brutus over here. He's newly promoted. He's new at this, just like me, as it turns out. And with him, we've got a librarian, we've got a Primaris lieutenant, we've got the Primaris ancient with the cool banner because it's cool. And in addition, we've got 3 dreadnoughts, because the Revenants do they have a thing for dreadnoughts. They like dreadnoughts, lots of dreadnoughts. So I brought them, even though technically they're vehicles, they would have a lot of these guys deployed around here. And the rest of it, with the exception of the Storm Raven, is infantry. I've chosen to include the Storm Raven because, well, I didn't quite have enough infantry models left over to make up the points, but mostly because of all the vehicles available, an aircraft would probably be able to get on the scene pretty quickly when the alarm is raised, so that's why he's here. In addition to that, we've got all the troops. So I've got a 10-man intercessor squad here. I've got a 10-man tactical squad, heavy bolter, plasma gun, sergeant with a power fist and a combi plasma. We've got little 80s rogue trader marine in there with his tiny base and his tiny model, quite frankly. I've got 5 terminators because terminators are cool. And we've got 3 aggressors because they've got lots of DACA, and I'm going to need lots of DACA today. I've also got 2 squads of scouts. However, one of them is going to be sentries. So I essentially get that unit for free, and they're going to be split up into individual models and wandering around, essentially guarding the area when the Orks arrive on the scene, and they scream into their Vox sets, "Help! There's lots of Orks. We need reinforcements right now, otherwise we're screwed." So that is my army for today. The Warlord, obviously, is going to be Captain Brutus over there. I'll go over the Librarian's psychic powers as they come up during the game. The Warlord trait for Brutus is going to be, I think it's called Merciless Logic, something along those lines. It's the Iron Hands Warlord trait, because these guys will be using Iron Hands Chapter Tactics today, which gives you the ignore wounds on a roll of a 6+ ability, because it's very easy to remember and it kind of fits with the chapter's background and fluff. So with this out of the way, oh, and relics wise, Brutus over here, he is going to have the burning blade as represented on him by the big flashy burning sword. So that's 2,000-ish points of Space Marine, slightly less. I think it's about 1998 points if I recall. And now let's go take a look at the Orks, and there is a lot of them. So this is, I believe, 2,000 points on the nose of Orks. It's a lot of greenskins. I don't really know what a lot of it does, to tell you the honest truth, so Bob's going to explain what most of it does, hopefully. So, do you want to talk us through it?
Alright, we'll start with the Warlord. We have Big Mech Dabrains on his bike. He's a big mech on a bike with custom force field, and he has the relic Ed Whopper's Kill Chopper, which he stole from a local stomper. So that's
excellent.
With him in his vanguard, he is bringing Nob with Warbanner, who is called Sarge for reasons. And we have 2 squads of commandos. We have the Lucky 13, and we have the Sneaky Greens.
They are fantastic. I love these guys so much. They're so cool.
Yeah.
Very sneaky, very, very, very orc. I love it.
And then we have a brigade, which is led by George. George being the Squig, not the war boss. The Squig controls the war boss, but that's a whole about the fluff. And with him, with his HQ, we have 2 weird boys who are not named because they keep dying and don't deserve a name. In Elites, we have a squad of 8 burner boys who will make those Space Marine beakies do the Bernie dance. We have an elite squad of tank busters, and we have an elite squad of something else. Where it's gone? The Runt Herder. The Runt Herder looks after 2 squads of 30 Gretchen, and we have 3 squads of 10 boys. 1 squad there, 1 squad here, 1 squad here, and we have another squad of boys here, which number 30, with some big choppers on the knobs, because big choppers are good. In fast attack, we have Alpha 1 Storm Boy Squad, Beta 2 Storm Boy Squad, Charlie Many Storm Boy Squad. There were 30 in that squad, so there are many.
Many. Yeah.
Many. Or lots, but they
One,
call
two-
themselves many.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Lots, many.
One, two, many lots.
There we go. Right.
No one cares about 3. And in every support we have 2 individual mech guns. They are custom mega blasters. And we have the trusty battle wagon, known as the Battle Wagon, with Death Roller, Arcase, and 2 big shooters. And
Excellent.
That is 2,000 points.
It's about 2,000 models too, actually, by the looks of it. to be
It's
honest.
over 200.
It's a lot, and we're actually going to have to take it all off the table in a minute, so it's going to take a little while. But they look absolutely incredible. They really do. They're fantastic. I love the conversions and stuff down here. The mech is absolutely amazing. I have to wonder at what point it stops being a bike and starts being a tank or something. But it's orky, it's painted red, and it probably goes quite fast, and it just looks epic. And that's what I love about Orks, you know, all the conversion stuff. So this green tide here is what's going to be charging in to try and destroy the critical objective. And quite frankly, I have no idea how I'm going to keep them off it. There's so many of them. But I guess we'll be back for deployment in just a moment. For you lot, anyway, it's going to be a while for us. Alright, so deployment is finished. It's fair to say that every time the Imperium underestimates the Orks, they live to regret it, and I don't think this is going to be an exception, because a rather large force of Orks has managed to close in on this unprotected flank of the front line. The way the deployment works for this mission is I place my sentries first, at least half of which need to be within 12 inches of the centre of the table, where the objective is. So we've got these 3 scouts over here, stood guard over there. We've also got 1 scout over here with the shotgun, and we've got 1 scout over here with the bolt gun out in these ruins towards where the Orks are coming from. It's an awful lot of Orks. Quite how they got the drop on us, I don't know. I imagine there was some interference with our Auspex arrays and things like that. Maybe there's lots of smoke around, there's been some acid rain, some toxic fumes, just reasons basically. Or possibly just simply because the Orks believed they were sneaky and therefore they were. So, with those placed, then the attacker places as many units as he wants in his deployment zone along here, which is precisely what you've done, Bob. So
Not all of them.
Not quite all of them, but an awful lot. Now the way this is going to work essentially is the sentries are going to move around in randomly sort of determined directions. We're going to roll off basically to see where they go. And there is a sort of stealth mechanic, so depending on the size of the unit, they're more or less difficult to spot. For example, this small unit of commandos is more difficult to spot than this large group of storm boys. So when they get within a certain range of the sentries will spot them, and then the alarm will be raised, and then a new turn will immediately begin, and my reserve units will come on both sides of the table here, as the Space Marine, as the scouts call in for reinforcements desperately, and whatever Space Marines happen to be nearby will rush onto the table from both sides to try and fend off the Orks from destroying this objective in the middle here. It's quite intimidating to look at, I must say, but we'll hopefully figure out a way to do that. In addition, the alarm will be raised if the Orks fire any weapons or use any psychic powers, because obviously we'll hear the gunshots and the warp nonsense going on, and if they engage in a close combat attack against one of the sentries but fail to kill him. Admittedly, a squad of 5 commandos versus 1 scout, they're pretty likely to kill him, but if on the off chance they don't, then will be able to raise the alarm. So that's how this is going to work. The attacker automatically has first turn in this scenario, so there's no rolling off of that. And that's what's going to happen now. So the Orks are going to make their move in their cunning but brutal fashion, or possibly brutal but cunning fashion, as they try to close in on this objective and throw as many bombs and stick bombs and explosives and bomb squigs and stuff as they can in order to blow it up and make a big boom. So, I guess it's going to be Orks turn 1 coming up next. wait a minute, those aren't Space Marines. Those are Orks. Yes, the Orks have advanced forward. Specifically, they seem to be making a beeline for the objective, to no one's surprise. We've got the Storm Boys that have advanced up here on both sides. We've got Big Mech over here, he's advanced up here. The Commandos have moved forwards, both units of them, towards these sentries here. Probably meaning to charge them and wipe them out in close combat before they can warn anybody. Because I can pretty much guarantee at this point those scouts have, yes, well, they've foiled the cunning disguise that the very cunning disguise that the Commandos have opted to use here today. So we've got more boys moving up here, Gretchen moving up. There's still more Gretchen in reserve, and the battle wagon has arrived, which has another 20 Orks in. What Orks exactly?
There's a war boss, a knob with a war banner, 9 normal Orks, a knob to go with them, and 8 burner boys.
Right. Okay. Lots of Orks in that thing then. So they mean to just push up here and run through with brute force and throw as many explosives on that objective as possible, I imagine. And yeah. So Ork shooting phase is going to be coming up next. Although, are you going to be shooting anything?
You forgot psychic phase, which ain't happening.
Oh, of course.
We'll probably be a psychic phase, but we're being cunning, and we're not psychicking this time.
Right.
There will be a shooting phase.
Yep. Okay. Obviously, if you use a psychic power, it automatically raises the alarm. So, I think the same is with shooting as well. So, unless, of course, you wish to use the silenced weapons stratagem, which we'll cover in just a second. So, opening the shooting phase, the Ork commandos have decided to opt for the silenced weapons stratagem. Now, you can use these twice. In normal match play, 40k, you can only use a stratagem once in each phase, but this is narrative, so you can use it as many times as you like. So they're using it twice, one on each unit of commandos. This will allow them to shoot without raising the alarm. I imagine they're shooting at this poor little scout here and that poor little scout up there, correct?
Yep.
Right, so...
He's going to do the Bernie dance.
The Bernie dance, alright, so... would you like to open fire, sir?
We'll start with 2 burners in disarm this squad. Get D3 shots each. And that is as cocked as cocked gets. That's 3 shots each.
Okay, yeah, I'm afraid with all this lovely, scenic, gravelly stuff, we're going to get a few cocked dice, so...
It is 6 automatic hits.
Right.
More over here for convenience. It is a strength 4, so that is 5 wounds.
Ouch. So, gouts of Orky Flame have shut out and are attempting to incinerate this scout.
Salamander Flame.
Well, yeah, exactly. Looted Salamander Flames. So, it's going to be 5 saves with no AP, and he is in cover. Cover-wise, we're counting all of these bases. If a unit is wholly within one of these bases for these ruins, you get the benefit of cover, essentially, just to keep things simple. So he will have a 3+ save because he has a 4+ +1 for his cover. If he can tank all of these, I will be surprised. No, he does fail one, and this scout
is doing the Bernie dance.
So it's rinse and repeat over here with more commandos, more flames. Silenced flamers, I've just realised. I'm not sure how that works, but there's probably some Ork nonsense involved.
The Orks believe the flames are silent, so the flames are silent.
Therefore they are. So that's going to be D3 number of shots.
4 shots, because there were 2 flames in that.
Okay.
4 auto hits. Only 1 wound this time.
Okay. Just grab a dice from over here. 3 up save. The scout has in fact survived. So somehow, because of the way the silenced weapon stratagem works, although the scout has been shot at and survived, he is completely unaware of having been shot at, because I guess the flames are also invisible in addition to being silent. Are you like shooting steam at him or something?
No, really hot. You just can't see it and feel it. It's so hot you can't feel it.
Okay. Well, anyway, so we're going to fire some sluggers and throw a grenade at him now as
Stick
well.
bomb.
A silent stick bomb.
Yeah. So 2 sluggers, hitting on 5s. No. Stickball, d6 shots. 2 shots, hitting on 5s. Hits. It's only strength 3, so winning on a 5. That's a wound.
Okay. And he fails.
Die to a stickball.
I'm gonna that stick bomb. I can't. That definitely made a bang. It's just the other sentries didn't hear it. It happily coincided with distant shell fire.
It was a quiet pop.
Yeah, therefore they didn't hear it. Orks are difficult to narrate for because they're weird. Help. And that wasn't very long, but that does conclude Orks turn 1. A charge attempt could have been made over here by these Storm Boys. I would not have been able to fire Overwatch because the sentries don't get to fire Overwatch. However,
Storm Boys are disciplined.
Yes, apparently so. However, we've decided to just draw the line somewhere. Bob has declared that it's pretty much impossible for a scout not to notice 30 Storm Boys charging at him.
He's hiding in the ruins.
So he's very graciously decided not to charge the scout. And that's the end of Orks turn 1. So now it's going to be going over to Space Marines turn 1, which is going to be very peculiar because the alarm hasn't been raised, which means none of my other units are going to be coming on, which means we're going to be doing some randomly determined scout moving shenanigans coming up next. Okay, so Space Marines turn 1 begins and it's a bit weird. So now we're going to do this sentry stuff. Now the way this works is we each roll off, picking the units to move in the order that I as the defender choose. And we roll off, and whoever gets the highest roll gets to move the sentries in the direction they want, the number of inches they rolled on the dice. So if you want to go ahead and roll. I've rolled a 6, and you.
Orks are being cunning.
You. Okay, 3. 10. Yeah. There's cunning, and then there's this nonsense. How dare you, sir? All right. Anyway, so looks like I get to move this guy 6 inches in a direction of my choosing. So let's do that. Okay, so the movement phase is completed. We rolled for the rest of the sentries off camera. This one I won the roll for, so I moved him 6 inches in this direction because I rolled a 6. Bob won the roll for this one, and I won the roll for this one and moved him 5 inches in this direction, which means he's now within 9 inches of that huge blob of Storm Boys, which means the alarm has officially been raised. Now, this was a little bit confusing. We had to have a think about this because the way the rules are written is if the alarm is raised in the defender's turn, a new turn immediately begins. Now this battle has a random battle length. On turn 5 we'll roll off to see if the battle ends or goes on to an extra turn. So the number of the turn matters, and we couldn't decide for sure whether this new turn that immediately begins for the Space Marines counts as turn 2 or whether it counts as turn 1. We've decided to rule it as it counts as still being Space Marines turn 1. But if we're somehow wrong on that, or there is an FAQ thing that we've missed, that'll be why I've not read the FAQ for the narrative missions, I'm afraid. So that's what's going to happen next. So now, the scout over here, he's spotted the greenskins with a look of horror on his face, I'm quite sure, and has voxed in for reinforcements quite frantically over the radio, and nearby Space Marines are going to start coming in next. Okay, we're down here now. I don't have any shelves or tables yet to put these guys on, so we're sort of on a case on the floor. Very professional, much production value, etc. So now, what I need to do is roll reserves, basically, in the first turn that these guys come on. In subsequent turns, any reserve units will come on automatically, but for this first turn, I have to roll for them. 1 for each unit, and on a 3+, they will arrive on the battlefield. So, we'll start with the Scout Squad. They're not coming in. The Terminators, they're not coming in. The Ancient, he's not coming in either. Oh dear. The Lieutenant, he is arriving. Captain is not arriving. The Librarian is arriving. Tactical Squad are coming along. The Intercessors are arriving. The Venerable Dreadnought is. The Redemptor Dreadnought is. The regular Dreadnought is arriving. And the aggressors are not. The Storm Raven is. So, some of my units have made it back to the battlefield in time, some of them have not. Okay, so the alarm has been raised, the Space Marines have arrived, some of them at least. The rest of them are still making their way here. The Terminators are still making a dash for the teleporters. The Captain has not arrived on scene yet, but some of them have made it, and deployment's a little bit weird, because I can only come on each of these sideboard edges wholly within 6 inches. So, as you can see, these Space Marines have piled on here, and the Storm Raven has come on from the opposite side. He is supersonic, so there is a -1 to hit him. Makes sense, because obviously he's been trying to get here as fast as he can. Meanwhile, these guys over here, well, the general thinking with this is, and I didn't really know how to respond to such a large army of Orks while trying to protect this one big objective in the middle. But what I've decided to do is bring on the Intercessors, the Tacticals, the Dreadnoughts, Librarian, and the Lieutenant, all in this little mini castle here, with these 2 dreads at the front, sort of providing a bit of a wall for the Marines, and the big dread at the back so he can do some shooting. This one in particular is armed with a heavy flamer, so that's a bit of a charged deterrent, hopefully. And this dread has the multi-melter, and the only thing on this field that's really worth him shooting with the multi-melter is that battle wagon, so he needs to be on this side too. So that is what's happened. This is going to be very odd. This is going to be a case of kill as many Orks as I possibly can and hope for the best. I'm not feeling terribly optimistic, and obviously we've still got the sentries, not that they're probably going to achieve much, but hey. So yeah, the shooting phase will be coming up next, and I need to kill lots of greenskins as fast as possible, hopefully. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm opening the Space Marine shooting phase with this Storm Raven, and I'm declaring its weapons as follows. One of the Hurricane bolters, hard to say, English, what? One of the Hurricane bolters is going to fire at this squad of Storm Boys here. The other one's going to fire at this one. The Typhoon missile launcher, I think it is called, is going to fire frag missiles at this huge blob of boys over here, which is worth pointing out, because I don't think we did earlier, that the mob-up stratagem has been used, so this is one gigantic blob right here. It's one big unit of boys. So I'm going to be firing frag missiles at them. And the Storm Strike missiles and the twin las cannon is going to be shooting at the battle wagon all the way over there, which it does have line of sight on and it does have range on. So, starting with the Hurricane bolters on this squad here, which will be rapid firing, so that is 12 shots. Hitting on 3s. Okay, those are the hits. Rolling to wound. So that was 1 wound. Brilliant. See. Fantastic. We're off to a great start. So it seems in his haste to get here, the Storm Raven pilot wasn't able to get a very good firing solution because everything has failed to wound those 5 Storm Boys from the first Hurricane bolter. It did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. I guess my dice rolls are starting as we mean to go on, so that's going to be another 6 shots from the other Hurricane bolter into this back squad of Storm Boys. So rolling to hit on 3s and wounding on 4s. 1 wound again, and it saves again. So, to be honest, I think the Storm Raven pilot's going to be having to look for a new job pretty soon if I have anything to say about it, but hey. Next up is going to be the Typhoon missile launcher firing frag missiles at the big blob of boys. That's going to be 2d6 shots for 7. Now, this is a heavy weapon, and he does count as having moved, coming on as reserves in this turn. However, he does have Power of the Machine Spirit, which means that he isn't going to take that penalty from firing heavy weapons. Normally, you get a -1 to hit, but not this guy. So, hitting on 3s, and wounding on 4s. 2 wounds, and 2 saves. Finally, I killed something, hooray! So out of that blob of how many boys?
50.
50 boys, I've killed 2. Got to start somewhere, I suppose. Right, next up, it's going to be the las cannon shooting at the battle wagon all the way over there. This is 2 shots, hitting on 3s. Both hit. Wounding on... What's the toughness of the battle wagon?
Toughness 8.
Thank you. So, wounding on 3s. Awesome. 2 wounds, minus 3 AP. So, the battle wagon actually only has a 4+ save, so it gets no save at all, so this is going to be 2d6 damage. That's cocked. 5 damage in total. And finally, the storm strikes on the wings there, going straight into that battle wagon as well. Again, hitting on 3s. And wounding on 4s, I believe, because it's a strength 8. 1 wound. It's minus 3 AP, so no save again, correct?
Correct.
And it's a flat 3 damage, actually. It's not a d6, it's a flat 3. So that puts the battle wagon down to 8 wounds. So, with the Storm Raven out of the way, we did the sentries that remain off camera, and turns out they actually ended up killing more stuff than the Storm Raven did. This scout over here killed 1 Storm Boy there, this one failed to kill anything, and this sentry with the heavy bolter killed 2 Storm Boys over here as well. So, 3 kills from the sentries. Now we're moving on to the Redemptor Dreadnought at the back here, who's going to be firing pretty much everything at this blob of Storm Boys here. So we're going to be starting with his macro plasma incinerator thingy. It's heavy d6 shots. 1 shot.
Overcharge.
We're not overcharging, because then it would... He does have the -1 to hit for moving with a heavy weapon, and that would mean he would take mortal wounds, not roll for 1 or a 2. So we're not doing that. But it is going to wound you on 2s, I think. No, not if it's overcharging. Is it strength 8 or is it strength 7? We need to go check. Okay, so it is actually strength 8 when not supercharging. When it does supercharge, it goes to strength 9, which is... I didn't think it would. Most plasma is strength 7 and then you supercharge it to 8. But anyway, so it's wounding on a 2, which it does do. AP -4, but you do have the force field protecting him, so 5 up. Fails. We killed another one! Yay! Okay, so with the big plasma out of the way, disappointing. Very, very disappointing, to tell you the truth. It's the Onslaught Gatling Cannon, so that's 6 shots, hitting on 4s. And that is 2 hits in total. Marvellous shooting there. And this will wound on 3s because it is strength 5. So 2 wounds at -1, but invuln save from the big mech, which you do not make, so another 2 Storm Boys are gone. Next up will be the Storm Bolters. And he is in 24 inches range, but not 12, so they're not rapid firing, so it's going to be 4 shots in total. Hitting on 3s, they all hit. Thank you. Wounding on 4s. 3 wounds. And there's 2 more dead Storm Boys. Okay, so with the Redemptor Dreadnought done, I didn't pay the points for the rocket launcher on the top there, the Icarus rocket launcher, so we're not firing that, in case you were wondering, viewers at home. We moved on over here. This Dreadnought fired his Storm Bolter off camera and killed another 2 Storm Boys. And now we're going to do this Venerable Dread with his las cannon at the battle wagon. So that is 2 shots. Now this would normally hit on a 2+ because he's a Venerable Dreadnought, but it'll be a 3+ because he counts as having moved. So 1 hit, he'll wound on a 3, it does wound, no save, d6 damage for 2 more damage. Also, it has occurred to me that, as usual, I have forgotten my Psychic phase. It's not that big a deal because I mostly would have wanted to smite, and he's out of smiting range, so that's a thing. He does also have Might of Heroes and Veil of Time. However, well, I suppose I probably could have buffed up one of the Dreadnoughts or something with Might of Heroes, but oh well, I forgot it. Got to learn somehow, so we're not going to go back and do that. Okay, so all that's left now is the Intercessors and the Tactical Squad. Now, line of sight with these two dreadnoughts here is a little bit iffy. Bob has graciously decided that because the world does not actually end at this edge of the battlefield here, these guys would have been firing as they moved across here. So it's kind of realistic from a narrative perspective that they would actually be able to have shots at these storm boys here. So he's very graciously allowed me to shoot these, even though if we got down there with the camera and stuff and had a look, we'd have to sit there and figure out which ones actually can see past the dreadnoughts and which ones can't, which would be a bit of a nightmare. So they are going to fire, because they were basically firing as they moved along across here, so that's the idea anyway. So that's 20 shots from their bolt rifles, hitting on 3s, and wounding on 4s, re-rolling 1s because ensconced within there is the lieutenant. So looking for 4s, and 2 1s to re-roll there. Okay, so that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wounds, minus 1, but involved again. That one's cocked. Okay, 4 storm boys dead. Okay, the shooting phase has concluded for the Space Marines. It's a little bit disappointing. They've basically killed a handful of orcs and not a lot else. They have put a lot of wounds on this battle wagon at least, but it isn't destroyed. It's now the charge phase, and I intend to charge both of these dreadnoughts into those storm boys over there. So we're starting with the venerable guy here, and we've got lots and lots of overwatch coming in from all those sluggers. So as the dreadnought charges in, lots of shots ping off, and we get 5 hits because you hit on 6s when firing overwatch. And these will be wounding on 5s. That's not bad actually. 2 wounds. So 2, 3 plus saves on the Venerable Dread here. He fails 1, so he takes a wound as he charges in there. Now the question is, does he actually make the charge? It's 9 inches he needs. I do have 9 command points still. That I haven't used any of them yet. Oh yeah, Iron Hand's Chapter Tactics save. It does apply to dreadnoughts. I almost forgot. So on a 6+, he's ignoring this wound. No. Alright, anyway, so 9-inch charge. Yes! Yes! Okay, so he's made it in with that epic charge. Now it's the second dreadnought going to make an attempt. Needs a nut. Okay, so I'm going to spend 2 command points here to re-roll both of these. Now again, this is narrative play, not match play for you 40k veterans watching, so I can use the re-roll twice in the same phase, which is what I'm going to do. That's an 8. That's just sad. So he's not going to make it in. He really should have made it in. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so as that dreadnought charge goes on over there, meanwhile on this side of the battlefield we have one more charge to deal with. This heroic lone sentry scout here is staring death in the face. He has no support. He has a bunch of storm boys coming straight at him, so he's going to pull out his combat knife, probably yell some obscenities and charge right into their faces. But first, overwatch from the storm boys, which will include a grenade, I believe.
Stick bomb. 3 stick bombs.
Okay. So 3 shots from the stick bomb. We get 1 hit.
Doesn't wound.
It doesn't wound, right. And
the sluggers.
Nothing. Okay. Does he make his charge? That's kind of coked, but... Yep, he makes it. Alright, so with the Scout's epic charge concluded over there, we're moving into the fight phase and to the Dreadnought. We'll do the Dreadnought first because there is a stratagem the Orks could use. They could spend 2 command points to interrupt my fighting. Essentially, if you're new to 40k and you don't really understand what's going on with the fight phase, I barely do, and I've been playing it for a while, but hey. All the charging units, all the units in this turn that charge, they get to fight first, and then everything that didn't charge fights after they've gone, except you can spend 2 command points to interrupt after the first unit has fought. So if I were to fight with the epic scout over there first, Bob could then interrupt with 2 command points and bash this dreadnought before it's had a chance to fight. I don't want that to happen, so he's going to go first. He's got 4 attacks. They hit on 2s. They all hit, I'm happy to say. And they'll wound on 2s as well, because I believe it's strength 12, yeah, so... of course I've rolled a 1. So, that is 3 AP minus 3, but you'll get your own... Oh, do you not get the invuln save? You get shooting. Right, okay, so 3 dead. That did 3 damage each, but these guys only have 1 wound each, so it doesn't really matter, and the damage does not spill over, so... He's killed 3 Storm Boys, which doesn't feel very impressive, to be honest with you, but he only had 4 attacks anyway. So, do you wish to interrupt and kill the scout?
Yes!
That is just cruel. But okay, let's do that then. So the Orks have spent 2 command points, and they are interrupting my fight phase, and they have surrounded this poor scout, and they're now going to chop him to bits with their choppers. So
the normal Orks go first, hitting on 3s.
And wounding on 4s. That is 5 wounds on this poor scout with no AP, so he gets his 4-up save. Come on, man, you can do it. Be a hero. Nope. He's dead. Bye-bye, scout. We'll extricate you from this mess. Off camera, I think. Okay, so the Storm Boys over here, after beating that scout to a bloody pulp, they've chosen to consolidate 3 inches towards the Storm Raven over there. Now, that's kind of important, because Storm Boys have the fly keywords, which means they could assault that Storm Raven, potentially next turn, fly onto it, start chopping away at it, hacking away at bits, doing damage. Yes, exactly. So that's not good for the Space Marines. Meanwhile, over here, these Storm Boys have piled in to attack the Dreadnought. So that is going to be how many attacks?
Lots.
Many. So
hitting on 3s.
Okay, wounding on 5s. Okay, that is a grand total of 8 wounds on this Venerable Dreadnought. He does have a 3+ save. And he loves it! Not a single one has wounded him. I'm amazed. That's not my usual dice rolling, but I'll take it. Right, so we're on to the morale phase now, and these Storm Boys do in fact have a morale check to do, so would you like to roll, sir?
Command point.
Yep, I think so. Okay.
So they lose 6.
Right. And that is the end of Space Marines turn 1-ish, 1.5 we're calling it, I guess, because of the weird way the rules are worded. But so what they have achieved basically is they've shot a few greenskins. This Dreadnought has heroically charged in here and mashed a bunch of them to a pulp, and a bunch of them have run away as a result. But the green tide, it keeps coming forward, and we've barely stemmed it at this point. And remember, the objective here is for the Orks to put as many bombs as they can on this big stack of crates over here, and there's not an awful lot between them and the crates, unfortunately. So Orks turn 2 coming up next. Let's see what the cunning greenskins do next. Okay, so it's Orks turn 2, and here's a summary of their movement phase. Obviously, these guys have stayed in combat. They haven't fallen back because, well, they're easily distracted, right? Orks, basically.
There's something to fight there, so they're fighting it.
Brilliant. I like it. So the Big Mac has stayed put and has repaired 3 wounds on the battle wagon, which has moved up as well. We've got more Gretchen piling on from reserves, and we've got more boys over here who are making their way down this way through the ruins to try and get to the other end of the battlefield where the fight is. So he's going this way, right? Okay. Don't know what came over me there. Meanwhile, these units here have all made their advance rolls up here, heading straight for these 2 sentries and the objective in the middle. So some sneaky cunning repositioning and tactics and stuff from the Orks in this sense. Oh, and the Storm Boys all the way over here, they have moved in for their impending charge on the Storm Raven, which is probably going to be hilarious. So it's going to be the shooting phase coming up next.
Psychic.
Psychic, right, psychic. Yep, this is the phase that I always forget Thank you for reminding me. Okay, yeah, psychic phase, and it's going to be possibly explodey. Is that correct?
Nothing will explode this psychic phase. Next psychic phase, things might explode.
Okay, good. All right, Orc psychic phase as a go. We do have two weird boys here, surrounded by a whole bunch of greenskins, which will be giving them bonuses to their psychic rolls.
Plus lots.
Plus lots, exactly. Because the more greenskins that are nearby, the more powerful their rolls get, which can actually cause problems. Because if you roll too high, you're going to get some Perils of the Warp stuff going on. So we'll see what happens. They're going to be... This weird boy here is going to be casting...
Warpath?
Warpath, thank you. Warpath on these guys, which will give them an extra attack. And the second weird boy is going to be casting the jump on them. So he's going to throw them into the warp and vomit them out somewhere else on the table that's a bit more useful. So that's the plan. Would you like to roll Warpath first?
Need a 7. With plus 8.
With plus 8. So that's... lots.
Many.
Okay, so he gets a plus 8 to that roll. And if you roll a 12 or more on your psychic test, you take Perils of the Warp. He rolled way more than 12. So, actually, it was exactly 12, was it?
Plus 13.
13, okay. Maths, hard. So, he's rolled the D3 mortal wounds and he's taken 2 wounds. So, it does go off, though. So, next up is the jump.
7 again. 7 plus 8 is
Plus-
lots.
Yes, lots. Bit of a headache from that one as well, I think.
D3 mortal wounds. Just 1.
Okay. Okay, so the tank busters have emerged from the warp portal over here, right next to my Redemptor Dreadnought. That's not good. So we've got a whole bunch of tank busters with rocket launchers, tank hammers, and bomb squigs ready to unleash orky kinds of hell on this poor Redemptor right here. So that's the end of the psychic phase. The shooting phase coming up next, which will actually include the bomb squigs, I believe. Right, it is the Orc shooting phase, and we are beginning with the tank busters. Now, I believe we've got 7 rocket launchers coming to this Dreadnought, and also the bomb squigs, because they are technically a shooting weapon. Now, tank busters re-roll all failed to hit rolls against vehicles, which is pretty great for them, not so great for me. In addition to that, though, Bob's used the stratagem called Daka Daka Daka. That's the correct pronunciation, I believe. Which means that his dice will explode on 6s, which means that basically they won't actually explode. That would be amazing, but
I wouldn't bother.
they'll. If he rolls a 6 to hit, he gets to make another shooting attack essentially, because Daka Daka Daka, need more Daka, etc. So that's what's coming up now, and this Dreadnought stays quite possibly a number. There's a lot of firepower coming his way. So what are we shooting first?
Rockets.
Rockets. Okay. So rockets rolling to hit on
5s.
5s. And they re-roll their misses. And because of 6s, another 2 additional rolls to hit.
Which get to reroll misses.
This is filthy.
1 extra hit.
Oh boy.
Strength 8, toughness 8, so 4s. And I'm going to command point reroll 1 of them.
Naturally. Okay. Alright, statistically there I think I was probably a little bit lucky. I've got 2 saves to make at AP minus 2, so these will be 5 ups. And
It's flat 3 damage.
it's a flat 3. One of them does go through. Okay, that puts the Dreadnought down to 10 wounds, but he's definitely got more incoming. It's the bomb squigs next.
4 bomb squigs hitting on 2s. Rerolling because they are part of the tank busters. And 6s cause extra attacks because of Daka Daka Daka. I don't know how this works.
It's just very,
But
very,
rerolls because it's attacking a vehicle.
very well trained squigs.
The bonus bomb squig didn't work.
Okay. Right, so...
There's strength 8 as well, so wounding on 4s.
Right.
And I'm going to reroll 1 of them. Just 1 of them. No. So 1 wound at AP minus 2.
1 wound, 5 up.
Shocking.
It's a 6. Okay, so the bomb squigs have now been removed, and for those of you watching at home, they don't count towards morale, so no morale check for those tank busters just yet. Next, we've got pistols in this squad of Storm Boys pinging away at the Dreadnought.
3 hits.
And wounded on 5s. Nothing at all. So the big mech off camera fired his Dagger gun at this sentry here with the heavy bolter, and amazingly did not kill him. He missed. So
he was too busy mending the battle wagon.
Yeah, he was distracted clearly. So meanwhile, the battle wagon itself is going to be shooting all the way over here at these intercessors. So
5s.
Which gun is this shooting, by the way?
Big shooters, 2 of them.
2 big shooters. Wounded on 3s.
2 wounds.
2 wounds.
No AP.
3 ups. 1. It takes a wound, yes. They have 2 wounds, intercessors, rather than 1, because they're big, beefy boys that eat a lot of spinach. That's probably not lore accurate. So we did some more inconsequential shooting off camera. These Storm Boys pinged away at the Storm Raven with their sluggers and did nothing. Meanwhile, over here, we've got one of these big guns here. What are these called again?
Custom mega cannons.
Custom mega cannons, alright. So it's the Gretchen crew is going to be firing at the Storm Raven because it's the only thing in range, actually, aside from the 2 sentries, and it's hilarious as firing a custom mega cannon at a single scout would be. Gretchen is smarter than that.
Gretchen don't like being picked on, so they ain't going to pick on those sentries.
Fair
Let's
enough.
pick on the big fly thing.
Okay, so talk me through the firing of this strange contraption.
D6 shots. Each shot is strength 8. It's a -3 AP, and it does D3 damage for each wound. But if I roll any ones for to hit, I take a mortal wound.
Yeah, so it's like plasma supercharging, except you can't not supercharge it because
Orks.
Yes, exactly.
And power is good.
Yeah.
It's all these frayed cables. They can zap each other.
It does look absolutely magnificent, I have to say. But anyway, so you want to roll the number of shots then?
D6 shots. 3 shots.
Okay, so normally you'd be hitting on
4s.
4s, sorry, yeah, okay, yeah, Gretchen hit on 4s. Unfortunately, the Storm Raven is currently flying supersonic, which means there's a -1 for anyone to shoot at it, which means you're hitting on 5s, and your supercharging mortal wounds on rolls of 1s will also be on 2s now, because the 2s will turn into 1s when you apply the negative to it. So, unfortunately, we're going to be taking wounds on 1s and 2s.
We was expecting to take wounds anyway.
Fair enough.
Part of the fun. Just killed a birdie. 5s.
So 1 hit, and then wounding on
3s. Strength 8. Right.
Nothing.
Rinse and repeat from the other one.
Okay.
D6 shots. 3. Hitting on 5s. That's probably cocked.
Yeah, go ahead and re-roll those.
That's 1 hit. Wounding on 3s. It's a wound. AP -3 and D3 damage.
AP lots, okay. So that's going to be a 6-up save. Rolls a 2, so D3 damage.
1.
1 damage. Okay. Better than nothing, I suppose. Okay, so that's the Orc shooting phase concluded. They took a couple of wounds off this, took a wound off the Storm Raven, but of course, as I've been informed, Orc shooting phase isn't really a thing. It's the fight phase that we obviously we really want to see. And speaking of which, charge phase is coming up right now. So first off, we've got these tank busters charging into this Redemptor here. They need a 9-inch charge.
We'll command point that one dice.
Yep. That's 8. Oh dear. So they're not getting in with their big tank hammers. What's next?
Next is the Storm Boys against the thingy.
Right. Also, I do need to do Overwatch here before the internet yells at me. So let's do that. Okay, so Overwatch was completed for the Dreadnought over here. And he missed with everything except 1 hit with the Macroplasma, which disintegrated an Orc over on the far end there. Now it's the Storm Boys charging the Storm Raven. There's 2 units of Storm Boys here. We're doing this top unit first, and we've got lots of Overwatch from the Storm Raven, so I can just about carry on the dice for this. This is 24 shots from both the hurricane bolters first. Hitting on 6s. Looks like we've got a couple of hits. There and there. And that'll wound on 4s. 1 wound. And are they, is it a 5-up save or a 6-up?
6 up, 1 dead.
Only t-shirt saves, oh dear. Right, so 1's dead there. Then it will be the, I'll do the frag missiles from the Typhoon missile launcher, so 2d6 shots, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and those will hit on 6s as well. 3 hits, wounding on 4s. 2 wounds, no AP.
1 save.
1 save, 1 failed.
So that's 2 dead.
And finally, we've got the Storm Strikes, no hits, and the 2 last cannons, no hits. So, would you like to remove casualties and do your charge, sir?
Charge phase.
They're definitely in.
And the other Orc squad, because once we're there, they're in as well.
Okay, so the Storm Boys have made it in. This is a bit of a disconnect between what's actually going on and the models, I have to say, at this point, because really, use your imagination, folks, and imagine that what's actually happening right now is the Storm Boys are crawling all over this Storm Raven, probably trying to stick things into the jet intakes.
Lots of stick bombs going into those jet engines.
Yeah, exactly. You know, smacking away at the canopy and stuff like that, trying to pry their way in through a door, doing all sorts of lovely damage to this thing. So, here we go. Here's the hit rolls for the...
Squad of 5, the 4 choppers.
Right.
And wounding on 5s. 3 wounds.
So that is 3 wounds, no AP, 3-up save, fail 1. That brings this guy down to 12 wounds remaining. And then we're going to get some command point interrupting shenanigans. Oh, apologies. Yes, big chopper. Big chopper.
As a big chopper, so he's hit on 3s. Shocking. And he's going to be wounding on 5s as well, because he is strength 5 plus 2. So, no, he's wounding on 4s. He's strength 7 with this weapon.
Pretty strong.
Still fails.
Oh dear. Okay, so the Storm Boys have done their damage over there for half of them. Now, we didn't, to save time, roll both squads of Storm Boys at once because I have chosen to spend 2 command points to interrupt combat over here with the Dreadnought. I'd like to kill some more of these Storm Boys before they smack back at me, so I can reduce the chances of them doing some horrible damage to me. So, it's going to be 4 attacks, hitting on 2s. And I've rolled 2 ones because, of course. You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, 3 wounded on 2s, strength 12, and
that was not cocked.
all right, two at -3, so that's 2 orcs just removed, and now it's back over to the orcs, and well, you can do this in any order you like, really.
We'll go over there. So the normal choppers, 1 hit. No. And the knob, 1 hit. Wounds on a 4. No. He's useless.
I think we've both been a bit useless this turn, really.
These guys, he's going to pile in, make sure he's in range, and because he's important, he's going to swing first.
Right.
Gets 3 hits. You're toughness 7, aren't you?
Correct, yes.
So wounding on 4s. Alright, it's 2 wounds at AP -1.
Oh, 4 ups.
It does 2 damage.
Ouch.
He's got Gretchen in there.
Okay, so we've got more choppers now.
Basic choppers. Hitting on 3s. 5s.
Wounded on 5s. And that's 3 wounds, no AP, so 3-up saves. Fails 1. He's now down to 4 wounds left. Luckily though, because he's one of the smaller dreadnoughts and not the Redemptor, he doesn't have a degrading stat line as he takes more wounds, but he's getting closer to death. That's not good. He's going to need some help pretty soon. Okay, so it's the Storm Raven fighting back now against the Storm Boys. I guess it's trying to sort of wiggle around and throw them off, I guess, if nothing else. It'll be 3 attacks hitting on 6s, and I guess nothing anyway. So the pilot's efforts were in vain. The Storm Boys aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And that concludes the end of Orcs turn 2. We did do the morale phase. We rolled for these Storm Boys and these Storm Boys, and none of them fled. So it's going to be on to Space Marines turn 3 now? Is it turn 3? Yeah, no, it's turn 2. But Space Marines turn 2. I'm forgetting how to count, apparently. This is hard work, guys. So, Space Marines turn 2 coming up next as the Orcs continue to advance forward through the ruins towards the big objective. They haven't made as much of a dent as they would have hoped so far, but I could say the same for the Space Marines, so this is going to be a very important turn as the rest of my reserves come in to deal with the Orc menace. Quite how I'm going to deal with the menace, I'm not really sure yet. I'm kind of making this up as I go along, unfortunately. So here we go. Space Marines turn 2 coming up next. So it's Space Marines turn 2, and it's the end of their movement phase, and reinforcements have arrived. I no longer have to roll reserves for my units, they just come in automatically now. And this is what's happened. So we've got units coming in over here and over here. I've got 1 squad of scouts that has appeared over here, and they're going to try and lay down some fire on these Orcs. These guys have emerged from whatever scouting duties they were doing in this direction. The Storm Raven has buzzed off away from the Storm Boys, who I am reliably informed are very annoyed about this. Meanwhile, over on the other side, we've had the Tactical Marines shuffle over in this direction. The Intercessors have shuffled over here, mostly to make room for... the Ancient Banner Bearer over here. There you go. And Captain Brutus, who has arrived... well, better late than never, I suppose. So, the Dreadnought has moved up here. The Venerable Dreadnought has remained in combat with the Storm Boys. He probably, realistically, what I should have done is fallen him back so I can shoot the Storm Boys and then maybe get some shots on the big mech. However, I've decided that this Venerable Dreadnought, who has yet to earn himself a name, but he may do today, he really, really, really hates Orcs. A lot. In fact, it was probably an Orc that put him in that Dreadnought chassis in the first place. So he's not interested in falling back at all. He wants to punch some more Storm Boys, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So it's highly likely that this Dreadnought here is going to move in to support him later on. Meanwhile, I've got aggressors that have arrived in here with all of their Dakka shooty stuff. The Terminators have teleported in here to support these 2 scouts, who are fighting quite literally back to back at the moment in the face of the oncoming horde. I'd like to be able to move the Terminators in subsequent turns up here to try and block off this area a little bit and try and prevent some of these Orcs from getting up here and chucking explosives on the crates, but we'll see. And that's about it, really. The Librarian is still stuck where he is. He really can't go anywhere right now. He's genuinely stuck. I haven't removed the Redemptor, and I have tried to position the Lieutenant and the Captain so that these 2 squads and the aggressors will be benefiting from their reroll bubbles. So, that's the movement summary. The shooting phase is going to be coming up next, and we've got lots of Dakka going into lots of Orcs, and hopefully we can kill more than we did last time. Psychic phase! Yes! Got it again. I was even just looking at the Librarian as well. Alright, so Psychic phase is in fact coming up next. And he's probably just going to be doing a bunch of smiting, I imagine. Perhaps. We'll see. Alright, Psychic phase. Did remember it this time. Just. This Librarian is going to be casting Might of Heroes on the Redemptor Dreadnought here, which will give him +1 strength, +1 attacks, and +1 toughness, which will, hopefully... The attacks and strength, don't really care so much about right now. It's mostly about the toughness, hopefully. If I don't manage to kill all these tank busters, it means that he'll be just a little bit harder for them to kill him. So the casting charge value of this is 6, so I need a 6 and 2 d6, and that is perils. I am going to command point one of these with a 5, which does get me 6 in total. Otherwise I would have been taking mortal wounds, and that would have been pretty embarrassing. So that does go off, so the Dreadnought does now have Might of Heroes cast on him, so I'm going to use this token to indicate that. in theory at least, make it so that I don't forget that going forwards. Because that is going to last until my next psychic phase, so he'll keep that buff right through the Orcs next turn. So next, he's just going to smite these tank busters here on a 5+. Just manages the 5, so that's D3 mortal wounds for 3. So 3 dead tank busters, I think. Okay, so kicking off the shooting phase, we're starting with this Dreadnought here. He's firing 4 Stormbolter shots at these commandos here, and he's going to be firing his multi-melter down at the battle wagon. So Stormbolters first, hitting on 3s. That is very cocked. Okay, so he gets 3 hits. Is he within 6 inches of the captain? I don't think so. So 3 hits, wounding on 4s. 2 wounds, no AP.
4+ armour. 4+ because it's 6+ normally, +2 for being in the ruins because they is commandos.
And they're sneaky like that. Alright, so next up it's the multi-melter on the battle wagon. So that'll hit on a 4 because it's heavy and he moved. It misses. Okay, next up it is this squad of intercessors shooting at the commandos. And all but the guy at the back are in rapid fire range. The rapid fire range for those bolt rifles being 15 inches. So we've got 19 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s for the captain, and we've got 2 1s, which go ahead and miss anyway. Okay, wounded on 4s.
Whoa.
Wow. Alright, so this is going to be 11 5-up saves. Only one of those failed to wound, so I'm afraid everybody's dead, Dave. He's dead. He's dead. Okay, next up we're dropping dice. This tactical squad here is opening fire at these tank busters, and I'm going to need an extra one of those, and that one as well. And my hands aren't big enough. Right, so bolters first, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s for the captain. That's a lot of 1s. Re-roll you guys here. Okay. And wounded on 4s. Re-rolling a 1 for the lieutenant. Okay. So that is 8 successful wounds. 8 saves coming up. I think they might be dead. Alright, with that squad of tank busters wiped out by bolt gun fire, and I won't be firing the heavy bolter or the plasmas because I declared it all on the tank busters and they're all now dead. We move over to the other side of the table where the scouts who have piled onto the battlefield from this side are going to open fire against these storm boys here, specifically the unit of 5, because there's a unit of 5 here and a unit of 2. We're going to shoot the unit of 5 with everything. I'm not splitting fire on this one. So this is a combination of the bolt guns and the sergeant's shotgun, which is in range. So because they have the same stats profile at this range, so hitting on 3s, and that is not very good, but whatever. And then wounding on 4s for 2 wounds, no AP at all.
2 dead.
2 dead. And then I've got the heavy bolter, which does count as having moved, so it'll hit on 4s. 2 hits. It'll wound on 3s. 2 wounds, AP -1.
So that's just dead.
Just another 2 dead storm boys. Okay, we are doing this one on camera because it's cool. The 2 scouts, the 2 sentries still alive, fighting back to back over here, are going to be shooting at these Gretchen. And we've got 2 shots from the bolt gun, hitting on 3s. He completely misses, oh dear, that's a bit anticlimactic. And the heavy bolter, who hasn't moved, so he's hitting on 3s. Hits once. Wounds on toughness 2. Alright, so he wounds on 2s. Yeah. He wounds. I think that's a dead Gretchen.
6+ armor save. Because of cover.
Because of cover, okay. Does his t-shirt save him? No.
The one that's a little confused can die.
Okay, with that out of the way, it's now the Redemptor. The only weapon he's got in range right now is his macro plasma, and it's going to be shooting all the way over here at that battle wagon. It's not overcharging, Its stats are still pretty good, even when it doesn't overcharge, to be fair. So it's D6 shots for 2. Oh, good old macroplasma. I don't really love it. All right, so it's strength
Hit.
8. Oh, wait, yeah, of course. Hits on a 3. And strength 8, so it wounds on a 4 plus. Thank you. 2 wounds, AP minus 4.
Involves custom force field.
Unfortunately, no. So just 2 damage in total. That. Okay, so now I have interesting problems. I position my guys in a bit of an awkward way. These aggressors here have nobody to shoot at right now because I didn't pull away from the Storm Boys, and aside from them, they don't have anything that's in range except for the big mech, and he can't shoot the big mech, or they can't shoot the big mech, because the Storm Boys are closer, and the big mech's a character. So basically it means the aggressors don't get to shoot anything this turn, so that was a bit of a poor play by me. The Terminators have a similar problem because these Gretchen over here, you can't shoot at them unless they're the closest target. They're a bit like characters in that respect. The big mech you can't shoot because the Storm Boys are closer than the big mech. So they're basically just going to pop some Stormbolt shots off at those commandos over there in the ruins. So that's going to be 8 shots, hitting on 3s, and then wounding on 4s. For 2 wounds.
Just against commanders.
Yep.
Saved, because they're in cover.
Oh, there you go. Terminators. Oh dear. And the last item on the shooting agenda today is the Storm Ravens. So, Hurricane Bolters, both of them, thanks dog barking in the background, are shooting at those commandos dressed up as salamanders. And
There is salamanders.
what are you talking about? We salamanders. We're not orcs. So the Hurricane Bolters are shooting at them. And everything else, the missiles, the las cannons, are going to be going into this battle wagon here. So Hurricane Bolters first, his 24 shots, hitting on 3s. And wounded on 4s. So that is 7 successful wounds on the commandos.
4 pluses. 4 die.
So a bit of cunning tactics here. What Bob's decided to do is put a wound on the knob and leave one of the burners alive, which allows him to fire the burner at this Storm Raven, which will auto hit, because burners always auto hit. So that will completely negate the Storm Raven's -1 to hit for being supersonic. So we're going to chuck some flames into those engines in the next turn, I imagine. Okay, and finally, las cannons on the Storm Raven at the battle wagon. 1 hit, 1 wound, AP -3.
Invul.
Invul. That's cocked. Go again. That's also cocked.
That's no.
Okay, so that is D6 damage for 2. And then we've got the 2 Storm Strike rockets hitting on 3s, 2 hits, and then wounding on 4s. And that is 1 wound. That is AP -3 for the Storm Strikes.
5s again? Nope.
Okay, that is 3 flat damage for the Storm Strikes. And then finally, the Typhoon missile launcher, which is firing crack missiles at it. Hitting on 3s, 1 hit, and then wounding on 4s. 1 wound, AP -2, so it saves. Alright,
Finally.
battle wagon.
The wagon is okay.
2 wounds left, still chugging along.
Maybe steaming, but it's okay. Boys inside are a bit rattled though.
There's lots of fire inside and just the war boss sitting there going, this is fine. So the Space Marine shooting phase is over. Now we've arrived in force, we're slowly starting to fight back and drop a lot more greenskins. The commandos over here have been eliminated. The very scary tank busters over here have thankfully been shot to pieces. Some Storm Boys were taken out by the scouts, and these commandos have been wounded, and we've put yet more wounds on the battle wagon, but still have not destroyed it. These Orky contraptions are made to last, apparently. So, charge phase now, and 2 charges are going to be happening. This dreadnought is going to pile in over here to help his mate, and these intercessors are going to move up to sort of fill in the gaps a little bit and try and get some extra attacks in there. So the dreadnought first, that's definitely in, so I'll move him like that. And the intercessors, it's a bit of formality really, but 4, yeah, that'll get him in. And this is what this melee looks like after all the piling in and everything. So Dreadnought's going first. He has 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. And that is 2 at AP -3, so that is 2 Stormboys dead. Next up is going to be the intercessors. Now the way these guys have piled in here, well, they can pile in, now that they've been chosen to fight, so they can fill in those gaps there. A little bit. Only a couple of them will get to fight, because the only guys who can fight are the ones that are within an inch of an enemy model, and those are within an inch of the ones who are within an inch, which is a mouthful, but really what it means is the first 2 ranks can fight. So that's going to be, in this case, these 4 here. They have 2 attacks each, intercessors, so that's going to be 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, because the sergeant has an extra attack. So 9 attacks coming up on the Stormboys. Alright, the Marines have piled in the gaps between the 2 dreadnoughts. They're going to be punching, kicking and stabbing with their knives. 9 times. That is appalling. 2 hits! They, I don't even want to talk about that. Forced wound. 1 wound. No AP at all. It's a 4. We kill 1! Yay! So that's all the charging units that have fought. Bob's informed me that he's not going to be interrupting with the Stormboys at all. So it's the Venerable Dread now, punching a few Stormboys. He has 4 attacks. These hit on 2s. They do all hit this time. And they'll wound on 2s as well. Just managed it. Just managed it. So that is 4 at -3. They're dead. And with that combat concluded, the Venerable Dreadnought has consolidated 3 inches towards the closest enemy model, which is the big mech. He's not done yet. He wants to punch more greenskins. And, well, let's hope he doesn't get punched first. He's probably going to get punched first. Okay, that concludes Space Marines turn 2. All of Orks have been taken out, but ultimately, these are kind of the distraction units, really. The main force of Orks, the Horde, is pouring in this way, making a beeline for these crates here for the objective. That's what the Orks really need to achieve at this point. Remember, this game gives you no bonuses for killing stuff. We're not playing with kill points or anything of that nature. There's no first blood. There's no Slay the Warlord, no line breaker. What will win or lose this game is whether or not those explosives detonate at the end, and the Orks need to get up there and throw as many as they can on there. So I imagine that's what they'll be trying to achieve in the next turn. For now, though, the Space Marines have secured their lines a little bit. I say a little bit because this side of the table is pretty good. This side of the table, on the other hand, is not so great. We've just got some scouts all the way over there, and a Storm Raven just kind of hanging around, and then the 2 sentries still fighting back to back here. So let's see what the Orks get up to. Probably something cunning or brutal.
Cunning, cunning, cunning.
So it's Orks turn 3, it's the end of the movement phase, and they've piled forward big time. The War Boss and his burner boys and his retinue, everybody else here, has piled out of the battle wagon and has charged over here straight at this wounded dreadnought, who has probably bitten off more than he can chew on this occasion, but we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, over here, as the rest of the Orks are distracted by all of the fighting going on, the Gretchen, on the other hand, is smart enough to realise that if they actually achieve the objective and blow up those crates, it'll mean a very happy war boss and a very happy big mech. And a happy warboss and a happy big mech is good for Gretchen at the end of the day, so they have got their eyes on the prize while the rest of the Orks are distracted by the fighting. So the Gretchen have moved forward all the way through here, and some of them have already made it to the crates, and they are going to be laying explosives at the end of the turn. So, lots of fighting to come up, and also these two Storm Boys here have shot all the way over here with a huge advance move, chasing after this Storm Raven who thought he could get away from us, basically. So they're up here, and they could technically as well at the end of the turn put explosives on the crates as well. But apparently these two are mostly interested in chasing this guy, so...
It was a terrible dilemma.
Right, so... Orc Psychic Phase. Next. So, the Weird Boys are at it again. It's the same combo as last time, Warpath and the Jump. So, Warpath first.
Needs a 7. But he's getting +6 to it, so he's passed that without hurting his head, which is good because he only had 2 wounds left.
Yeah, it was pretty likely he was going to hurt his head actually, so that's nice one.
And then Dead Jump. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
That's bad.
That's really bad. You know what the problem is with this? You either have to spend 2 command points to re-roll both of those, or not at all, because it's +6 from all the
I think I accept he's going to get a headache, and I hope it's only a small headache.
Alright.
Otherwise this is going to hurt.
D3 mortal wounds then.
He's got a headache. And I'm re-rolling that one. Oh, he's alright. He's just got a small headache.
He's his big head's throbbing, but he's technically still alive, just. Okay, so with the Jump successfully cast, we were actually a little bit confused because so much movement has happened in the Psychic phase that we forgot it was not the movement phase technically. But 48 Orks, I think it is in total.
Yep, you died earlier, so 48.
48 Orks have appeared over here out of a warp portal. I think these Space Marines are a bit lost for words, I imagine, at this point. However, they're here, they're angry, they're probably going to be charging all sorts of things. I've been told that they have something against these Terminators over here.
Their warboss wants a new suit of armour.
Right. So yeah, big, huge mob of boys has arrived, and well, we're somehow going to have to deal with it. Okay, so it's now the Orc shooting phase, and to kick it off, the Big Mech is firing at both of these scouts, putting his fire at each one because apparently he's feeling vindictive.
Against the heavy bolter guy, it's 1 hit. That's all he needs. Wounds on a 3. Yep, that's a wound.
Okay. Needed dice. There we go. Okay.
And against the other one, 1 hit. It's a wound.
No. He is gone. Sorry, Hero Scout. That's it for you, I'm afraid. Okay, following that execution of the Scout, 30 Gretchen all opened fire at this Storm Raven, and long story short, I've got 4 saves to make. I do make all of them though. That would have been embarrassing. So these burner boys are going to apparently teach these intercessors how to do something called the Bernie dance. So that is D3 shots for the whole squad, auto-hitting.
That's a shame.
So 1 per burner boy.
8 shots. Wounding on 4s. 6 wounds.
Oh dear. Okay, 6 saves on the intercessors. 3 up. We drop 1, which is going to kill this guy at the back who was already wounded. So, he's gone. What's next?
Next is that boss called, well, George is a squig. The boss hasn't got a name. But he's going to shoot the intercessors as well with his shooter. Hitting on 5s.
Okay.
Wounding on 4s. 1 wound.
Your reflexes are pretty good, you know. Alright. 1 save. That's a 5 up. I think he's good.
The knob with Wildband is going to shoot the intercessors.
Okay.
He has a custom shooter. He gets 4 shots. He gets 1 hit. No wounds.
Okay. And is that it?
10 sluggers. Going to shoot the Dreadnought.
Okay.
Because they didn't have enough to hit the intercessors. They can hit the barn door though.
That's
Four
not
of them.
bad. For orcs, you know.
5s. 1 wound.
1 wound, 1 save. Saves it.
There's going to have to be some charging now.
Okay, next we've got 2 big shooters on the battle wagon shooting at these intercessors over here.
4 hits. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
2 3-up saves. They're both good. Okay, next up, the custom mega cannons are opening fire on these unfortunate Terminators over here. Lots of plasma coming that way then, or whatever the equivalent.
Orky stuff.
Orky stuff's coming their way.
First custom mega cannon. 1 shot. Hits. It wounds.
Okay.
AP -3.
Oof. That's going to be 5 up. Nope.
Does D3 damage. Yay.
That's Terminator dead. Bye.
Second custom mega cannon. 4 shots. That's 2 hits.
And
2 wounds.
2 wounds. Ugh. 2 5-ups. And
D3 apiece. First one, 2 wounds. Second one, 3 wounds.
right, I've got some Iron Hands chapter tactics saves to do here, which I actually forgot for the intercessors
And for the first turn.
and for the first Termi. So we'll be back in just a second to roll those up. Okay, the one intercessor that died and took a wound,
Still dead.
still dead. The first Terminator, still dead. Second Terminator,
He lives!
he lives. The third Terminator,
Which is now the second Terminator with 1 wound.
yep, he
Still does.
doesn't live for very long. Okay. Okay, next, after emerging from the warp, as many as possible of these orcs at the front here are opening fire with their sluggers into these tactical marines here. So, many dice.
Some hits.
Okay, so 6 hits. And
4 wounds.
4 wounds. 4 saves coming up. 3 ups. Actually, yeah, 3 ups. And 1 cops it.
6 plus Iron Hands.
Ah, yep, thanks for reminding me. No, he's still dead. So the orcs continue to plink away with their shooting, the most significant thing really being the heavy Gretchen artillery over there knocking out a couple of these Terminators. That hurt. Meanwhile, we're into the charge phase now, and this blob of boys here is going to be charging and eating the Overwatch fire from the Dreadnought, who he's readying his heavy flamer, so he's going to unload a whole bunch of burning promethium into their faces, and these will be auto-hitting. So, D6 shots auto-hitting for 2. Not brilliant, but okay. Strength 5, so wounding on 3s, 2 wounds, and AP -1.
5 plus for the invul.
And that's a 5 and a 2, so 1 dies. And you basically can't fail that charge, but we'll roll it anyway.
Day is keen!
Done several laps around the Dreadnought and are now engaging it. Okay, so next the Burner Boys are multi-charging the Dreadnought and the Intercessors here. The Intercessors will get to fire Overwatch. So that is 18 shots, looking for 6s. That one is just a wee bit cocked. Okay, so we've got 2 hits. These will wound on 4s. 1 wound.
With the 5 plus invul.
Nope. 1 Burner Boy is lost. Do they make the charge into both units?
Is that called?
Let's go ahead and roll that again. Okay. Yeah, they're good. So the charge phase has now almost concluded. We've got this coming up next, but just to summarise a couple of things. The Big Mech and the Gretchen attempted to charge this one poor scout, and they failed their rolls. On the other hand, the scout didn't kill anything with Overwatch, so nothing lost, nothing gained there. Meanwhile, over here, these orcs have got a 9-inch charge to make, I believe?
Yep.
Right. Do you want to roll the charge now, and then we'll do the Overwatch afterwards?
He's going to charge them because range, and them because fun,
Okay.
and they're keen. And that's an 8, so they're going to re-roll that.
Okay.
And that's a 9. They're in.
That'll do it. Okay, with the charge phase completed, this is what we have. Orcs stuffed all around here. And this huge squad of boys, the mob of boys, I suppose, it's all one unit, but it's so big that they've been able to charge the Terminators over here and the tactical squad over here while maintaining their 2-inch coherency all the way around here. And importantly as well, they're now within 3 inches of the big pile of crates objective, so they will be placing another explosive this turn as well. One of the guys at the back will presumably finally remember, oh wait, we were supposed to blow this thing up, weren't we? So these are all going to be attacking first, this entire mob here. First attacking the Terminators.
The big choppers from the knobs. Oh boy. They'll be wounded on 3s.
Okay, wounded on 3s. Okay, that is 6 wounds on the Terminators at AP -1 and rather brutally 2 damage each, so each failed save will kill a Terminator, so I need 3 ups here. And oh dear.
Iron hands.
Oh yeah. Well, that's 2 each, so let's see. It would be 3 dead Terminators. So, for the first one, nope, he's dead. Second one, dead. Third one, dead. Goodbye, Terminators. Okay, the Termies are completely wiped out, and it's worth pointing out that was just the attacks from the knobs. The regular boys didn't even get involved in that before the Terminators were already dead. So meanwhile, over here, this lot are smashing these tactical marines. So, many dice.
Some copped.
And presumably many hits too, it certainly looks like it. And many more dice wounding on 4+. Okay, this many wounds on that many tactical marines, we need 3 ups. And we lose 1, 2, 3, 4 marines.
Iron hands.
Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, oops, 4. Looking for 6s. Nothing at all. Okay, with that carnage done, we've got that many marines still holding on by the skin of their teeth. The Orks have consolidated this way and this way to port towards that very heroic but very, very, very screwed scout. Meanwhile over here, I've spent 2 command points to have our venerable dread of legend punch the war boss in the face. Now, admittedly, it might make more sense for him to actually go for the war banner, because then that big buff would be lost to all of these orcs here. But narratively, I think if you're a dreadnought, and
you can split your attacks. That always works.
I'd rather not. Narratively, if you're a dreadnought and you hate orcs and you see a war boss in front of you, you're going to punch the war boss. So that is what's going to happen. 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, and I rolled a 1. Grand. So 3 hits, and this is strength 12, so 2s to wound. 3 wounds, AP -3.
That's going to go through my armour.
So you have no save at all?
I've got 4+ armour.
Is he within... Oh wait, the invul doesn't work.
No invul, no mech, no dock.
Oh dear. So that'll be... How much damage does this do? So far he's been only been killing 1 wound models. I need to check. Okay, it's a flat 3 damage for each of these. The war boss gets no save. The war boss is an ex-war boss now. He has ceased to be.
Why the war boss don't get a name?
Yeah.
The squig is called George.
The squig's earned a name. The war boss hasn't, it seems. So yeah, the dreadnought probably picked him up a bit like... You know that scene...
It's a Dawn of War.
You know that scene in the Avengers with Hulk with Loki when he picks him up and smacks him around? Might be something like that, I don't know. But anyway, what's important is the war boss has been pulped, and now the interruption's over, so what's happening next?
The burners are going to fight.
Right, burners are going to be piling into, I think, is it both the Dreadnought and the Intercessors?
Yeah,
or?
These 4 will fight the... no, actually, these 2 will fight 5, whatever's left, 5, yep, will fight many.
Okay. Okay, attacks on the Dread coming up first.
Hitting on 2s because of War Banner. 3 hits.
Right, one miss.
And they're strength 4, so they're going to be winning on 5s. No wins.
Nothing at all. So now the intercessors.
The intercessors hitting on 2s. That's all of them hitting. Warbanner doing a good job there.
And wounding on 4s, I'm guessing.
Winning on 4s. And that's a bit of a shame.
Okay, 3 saves at minus what?
-2.
-2, so 5 ups. We make 1, fail 2, and Iron Hands Chapter Tactics fails as well. So I think that's just another intercessor straight up killed. Okay, next up, the knob with the Warbanner is smacking the Dreadnought.
3 attacks, hitting on 2s, because he's in range himself.
2 hits.
He is strength 7, so he's wounding on 4s. Yep, and there was no AP on that, but they do 2 damage apiece.
Okay, 3 up saves. 1 failed. So that brings him down to 2 wounds left. Okay, finally, it's this squad of boys, including the knob, smacking the Dreadnought.
The knob just has a chopper, nothing special.
And now wounding.
5s. Some more wounds.
Alright, 6 more 3 up saves incoming. Hopefully he can be as lucky as he was before. Of course, I've now jinxed it, so... Yeah, pretty much. He's taken 4 wounds.
Iron Hands.
Oh yeah. If he can make 3 of these 6s, he will live. Close, but no cigar.
Does he blow up?
Does he indeed?
No.
No. He's finally brought down under a huge horde of green limbs. And here's what things look like after the Orks have piled in, and now the intercessors, it's their turn to fight, so they've piled into these burners, and they've got 16 attacks heading straight into these guys, hitting on 3s. And now wounding on 4s. Alright, 7 Orky saves coming up.
Only 6 of them die.
Okay, back over in this corner, we've got the Tactical Marines piling in, fighting back against these Orks. We got 4 regular attacks from the Ordinary Marines, hitting on 3s. Not close enough for the Captain to reroll that 1. And then wounding on 4s. 2 wounds. And that killed 2 of them, both failing their saves. And now it's 2 attacks from the Sergeant with the Power Fist. Now the Power Fist is unwieldy, so it is a -1 to hit, which means he's hitting on 4s. 1 hit, and it's strength 8, because it's user strength ×2, which means he's wounding on a 2. He does wound. AP -3, that's just going to straight up kill another Ork. Okay, so now it's the morale phase. These intercessors here, they lost 2 Marines in this turn, but the Sergeant's leadership 8, so they're going to pass that automatically. Meanwhile over here, this squad of Tactical Marines lost 5, so 5 plus 4 is 9, so the leadership of the Sergeant is 8. They will lose 1, but with "and they shall know no fear," I can re-roll this into a 3. They're good. Now, it's the remaining burner boy we have to worry about. He does have leadership 9, thanks to nearby buffs, but could still disappear. It's cocked. And a 3.
+7, he will die on that one.
Okay, he runs away as well. And that's the end of Orcs turn 3. At the end of the turn, the Orcs have managed to place 3 explosive charges on the crates. These guys up here, these Orcs here, and the Gretchen hiding around there in the shadows. That will mean a +3 to the roll at the end of the game to see if it all explodes and the Orcs win. It's been a bit of a brutal turn. These guys arriving and getting straight into the Space Marine lines, they've done quite a bit of damage. Terminator's just wiped out. Half this tactical squad gone. This Dreadnought's gone, although I think he earned his weight in gold on that one, definitely. So things are looking a bit desperate. I need to get these Orcs away from the crates, because with the each unit can only place 1 explosive in the game, unless Bob decides to use the more explosive stratagem, which will allow them to do it again. And I don't want that to happen, so I need to get these Orcs away from these crates, and also I need to get some of my own units over there so that I can use the stratagem called Cut the Wires in the last turn of the game, which means that I can remove some of the explosive charges potentially. So I've got my work cut out for me. So that's going to be Space Marines turn 3 up next. It's going to be difficult. Okay, Space Marines turn 3. It's raining outside. Lots of movement has occurred. These scouts over here have shuffled over in this direction. They're probably going to take some pot shots. The Storm Boys up on the crates. Meanwhile, this scout, this lone scout who is still alive somehow, has stayed still, and he is going to be shooting at those Gretchen over there as he continues to single-handedly defend this entire side of the objective by himself. The Dreadnought has moved over here. He means to charge and punch in the face this big mech. The Intercessors have fallen back towards the aggressors and the Captain, who has manoeuvred himself into a position where he can provide his bubble to these guys, the aggressors and the Intercessors, and the Tactical Marines and the Dreadnought. Because there's going to be lots of shooting at this huge blob of boys, and if any are alive still by the end of the shooting, we're probably going to have to charge in and kill the rest of them ourselves with our bare hands if necessary. The Librarian has hopped up onto the top of this generator, and the main reason for that is because he's been trapped behind the Dreadnought for most of the game, and he needs to get out so he can actually charge down there if needs be. Aside from that, I don't think there's any other movement to speak of, except for the Storm Raven obviously powering over here in order to be able to unload the Hurricane Bolters into all of these boys. So between that and hopefully the aggressors here, I might be able to kill most of these Orks. That's the plan anyway, because these Tactical Marines are not going to be able to shoot. The Intercessors can, because by the time combat ended in the previous phase, they weren't actually in combat anymore, so they haven't had to fall back. They have just moved over here though. So that's the plan. Shoot the big blob of Orks, and then we'll somehow deal with the rest of this nonsense later. This absolutely massive blob of Gretchen, led by this one very, very intimidating runt herd, I imagine. So yeah, that's the plan. Psychic phase coming up next, as this Librarian is going to try and use the powers of the warp to give the Space Marines a bit of an edge in this combat, because their backs are up against it right now. Okay, Psychic phase. The Librarian is casting 2 powers. The first one's going to be Might of Heroes on himself, which will give him +1 strength, attack, and toughness. Mostly doing it for the strength and the attack if he has to go charging into these boys. So that will cast on a 6. It just manages it. And he's also going to do Smite against the blob of boys, casting on a 5, which he also manages. So that's D3 mortal wounds for 2. Right, so we're opening the shooting phase with the Storm Raven as it screams across the centre of the battlefield, letting rip with all of its Hurricane Bolters into this huge blob of Orks. I've got 24 dice in my hand, which I'm just barely managing to keep hold of. They're going to be hitting on 3s. Okay, this many dice hit, now rolling to wound on 4 pluses. And that was 9 wounds.
9 dead.
Okay, up next, Typhoon Missile Launcher firing frag missiles. We've left a big chunk of dead Orks in the middle here. That can be done. It just means next time the Orks move, they're going to have to move in order to get back into coherency if possible. So anyway, 2d6 shots. That is 9. Alright, 9 shots with the frag missiles hitting on 3s. And that will be wounding on 4s. Essentially has the profile of a bolt gun, so that is 4 wounds.
4 dead.
4 more Orks dead. And now the Storm Strike missiles and the las cannons shooting at the battle wagon over here. So las cannons first. That is 2 hits. And wounding on a 3 because strength 9. 2 wounds. AP -3.
Invul. 2 saves.
Wow, nice one. Okay, so then the Storm Strike missiles. 1 hit. 1 wound. No, that'll be 3 damage. It's got 1 wound left. So now we have the aggressors. Now the aggressors stood still, which means that these guys get to fire twice now in the shooting phase with all their weapons. They have their auto bolt stone gauntlets and they have their Fragstorm grenade launchers. We're doing the Boltstorm gauntlets first, and if any of the Orks survive, we'll worry about the Fragstorm launchers afterwards. That's 36 shots in total from the 3 of them, because it's normally 6 shots each, then doubled, so 12 each. So this is going to be hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Okay, so after removing the misses and the captain's rerolls, I have this many hits. I don't even know how many. And now wounding on 4s. So after all of those wounds and the reroll 1s, thanks to the lieutenant, we've got 17 wounds, so 17 saves. And that's a lot of dead Orks. Okay, after that huge, furious burst of automatic fire from the Boltstorm gauntlets, we have that many Orks left remaining out of that huge blob, and they're still not done yet. Next, it's the Fragstorm grenade launchers on the tops of their backpacks there, so it's going to be 6d6 shots with these. Okay, in total that is 24 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, and I believe 1 just went off the table. And now we've got this many wound rolls to make on 4 pluses, re-rolling 1s. Okay, so after re-rolls, that's 12 wounds, so 12 saves.
12 dead.
Right, that is every single last Ork in that mob completely wiped out. The aggressors have managed to get one of those rare occasions where they do manage to stand still and be in range to fire their weapons twice. That's probably the first time that's ever happened with these guys in 8th edition for me, but when it happens, holy crap, do they kill lots of stuff. So other stuff that happened off camera, these scouts over here opened fire on the Storm Boys up here, killing 1 and leaving the knob on 1 wound. This scout over here opened up with his heavy bolt on the sneaky Gretchen in the shadow there, killing 1 of them, but because they have leadership of 4, that might actually cause them morale problems. So all that's left now is this Dreadnought with its macroplasma shooting the battle wagon. So let's do that quickly now. That's d6 shots, 1 shot. This macroplasma has been fantastic in this game, hasn't it? It does hit. It does not wound, although I don't think he's in range of the lieutenant. So yeah, that fails completely. And now finally, this Dreadnought firing his Stormbolter and his multi-melter into the big mech right in front of him. So the Stormbolter with 4 shots hitting on 3s. Everything hits, and then wounding on 4s. Is it? Or is it 5s?
5s, it's 5.
Yep, 5s. No wounds at all. So the multi-melting out. This will be hitting on a 4+.
Classic.
Nope, not today. He's right in front of you, man. How did you miss? Okay, so that's the end of the Space Marine shooting phase. There will be some charges coming up, although actually, I've just realised these intercessors haven't shot yet. So I guess we'll be doing them now. And then it will be charges. Okay, 16 shots from the intercessors into these guys here. Thank you. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. And then wounding on 4 pluses. Re-rolling 1s for the lieutenant. Okay. Alright, 6 wounds in total. And
2 die.
2 die. Only 2. Fair enough. Okay, shooting phase concluded, and it was brutal. Lots of Orks were killed. That was honestly a little bit more successful than I'd expected it to be. I thought I'd have to do some serious melee action over here to get rid of the rest of them, but the aggressors really just... yeah, well, anyway. So, charge phase coming up now. We've got 3 charges. These intercessors going into this slot here. The Dreadnought is going to charge into the Big Mech's face, and this lone scout is going to charge those 3 Gretchen over there that I don't think you can see very well because of the lighting, but there they are. So he's going to try and squish a few of them. So we'll do the intercessors first. I'll roll and then we'll do Overwatch. 10, yep, they're probably going in, I would imagine. Oops. We good?
That's fine. Nothing.
Okay, the intercessors are in with 10. The Dreadnought he's in, and the scout, he's in as well. So we're Overwatch now. Okay, charges have been completed. Everybody's moved in. I'm dropping dice. It's late. Let's get this over with. So we've got 15 attacks from these intercessors into these orcs. The knob with the war banner has heroically intervened, so it's going to be smacking them. These will hit on 3s. And they will wound on 4s. And that's 6 successful wounds for 6 saves. That is how many dead?
4 dead.
Oh. Alright, next up it's this climactic clash of the titans with this scout piling into these Gretchen with 1 attack, hitting on a 3. Fantastic. Well done, sir. Fine work, Scout, fine work. And finally, this Dreadnought into the Big Mech. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 2 hits, and wounding on strength 12, so 2 2s. 2 wounds, AP minus 3. No save?
No save.
Wow, okay. So that'll be flat 3 damage each, so 6.
So he's dead.
He's dead, straight up dead.
Yeah, because his warlord trait does not give him any saves.
Oh dear. Well, it's a beautiful model. I feel bad for killing it, to be honest with you. But yeah, the Dreadnought has destroyed the mech and is probably going to be charging into that battle wagon. Although,
consolidating 3 inches closer.
You know what? I won't, because I've just realised the battle wagon has a death roller on it, and death rollers are scary. So I think he's fine where he is. He's good. He's not like the other Dreadnought. He's not a complete berserk madman. All right, and I think that concludes the fight phase.
No, Orks are going to fight back.
Oh, of course, yeah, there are still some alive. That's me being very presumptive, though. I do apologise.
Alright, keep going.
Yep.
Right, small Orks are going to attack intercessor thingies. 3s to hit. No, 2s to hit because of the war banner.
Okay.
4s to wound. 2 wounds.
2 3-up saves. Both passed.
The Orc Knob is going to attack with his chopper. 2s to hit. 3s to wound because he is strength 5. 2 wounds.
2 saves with any minus?
No.
2 saved.
Orc with Knob with war banner is going to attack the intercessors. 3 attacks, hitting on 2s. And he is strength 7, so winning on 3s. And no minus on that, but it's 2 damage apiece.
Okay, so we'll kill 2 intercessors if you fail both of these. I do fail 1, so
6
one of
plus
them...
Iron Hands.
Ah, true.
Just
Nope.
roll one thing.
He's dead.
And the Gretchen.
Ah, this very important fight over here.
His Gretchen hit on 5s.
It actually is technically quite an important fight, because if they stick around, they can put another explosive down with the stratagem, so...
Hit twice. They're going to wound you on 6s.
6s, yeah. Strength 2.
No.
Okay, so that really does finally conclude the fight phase this time, and yeah, Gretchen's still not dealt with. We'll have a morale check for them, and are once again embroiled in a close combat down here, and I've got a death roller bearing down on this Dreadnought, who is maybe reconsidering his life choices right now. Would it be death choices? He's a Dreadnought after all. I don't know. Morale phase coming up next. Okay, that's the end of the morale phase and end of the turn. A quick summary. The Gretchens stayed around. They didn't fail their morale check. However, a few of the Orcs over here ran away. Or was it just one?
Only one ran away.
Was only one, thanks to the knob with the war banner. So, yeah, this is the battlefield as it looks at the end of turn 3. Yeah, we're still only on turn 3. Yes. Whew. Okay, going into turn 4 for the Orcs now, where more bombs on crates, basically. Okay, Orcs turn 4, movement phase summary. The battle wagon has charged up this little bit here towards the Dreadnought. This blob of Gretchen has charged over here, trying to get towards the crates, get some of those crucial explosives on there, so that they can win the mission, and also attempting to move away from the line of sight of these aggressors over here, because those aggressors will absolutely decimate these poor toughness 2 Gretchen very quickly if they're able to. In addition, the Storm Boy knob that was up on the top of the crate, he has jumped down to sort of protect those other Gretchen as well, and probably slice that scout in two, who has miraculously survived quite far further than I thought he would, honestly, but there he is. So that's the Orc movement phase. Now we're going into the Psychic phase. So the plan is as follows. The Weird Boys are going to cast Warpath on the Gretchen, just for fun, and the jump, in order to jump them over somewhere more tactically useful, I believe. So would you like to go ahead and roll these powers?
Warpath.
That goes off.
That's 9 plus 3 is 12. That's another
potential brain explosion.
D3. 2. That is a brain explosion. What happens?
Right. So in the aftermath of that epic brain explosion there on the part of the Weird Boy, what has happened is the Gretchen have taken 3 mortal wounds, so 3 of them are dead. The gun over here has taken 2 or 3 mortal wounds, and unfortunately the other Weird Boy took 2 mortal wounds, which has killed him, so no Weird Boys left, and unfortunately the Gretchen are now stranded and unable to jump to elsewhere on the table, so that's pretty bad news for the Orcs. But shooting phase now. Okay, so the Orc shooting phase is going to be pretty short. It's going to consist of these sluggers shooting these intercessors.
Missed.
Well, that was quick.
2 big shooters going to shoot the tactical squad.
Right.
Because they've got to die. And they get 2 hits. Cocked.
Oops.
Still cocked. Missed.
There we go.
And that is the end of shooting phase.
All that build up. Alright. So, charges now.
Battle Wagon's going to charge Dreadnought.
Okay.
The Storm Boy is going to charge in there and heroically slaughter him.
Heroically?
Heroically slaughter him.
I see.
And that is all the charges that will happen, because the jump failed.
Unfortunately it did. Alright, so we'll do those charges next. Okay, so overwatching. This Dreadnought has fired its Storm Bolters at the Battle Wagon and missed. It's got 1 shot with the multi-melter, which if it hits, yeah, that's probably a dead Battle Wagon. So here we go. It misses. Alright, fine. So you're pretty much automatically in there.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we've got the Scout over here. So he's going to have his 3 heavy bolter shots.
Yeah, he's in combat already.
Oh, of course he is, yeah, right.
Storm Boy's just going to charge in, tap him on the shoulder, and take his head off.
Pick on somebody your own size. Okay, so first up is going to be the Storm Boy against the Lone Scout.
2 hits. Wounding on 3s. And it is AP -1 and 2 damage.
So 5 up save. Nope, fails it. And 2 Iron Hand saves. Nope. The Scout finally falls, cleaved in twain by that pretty epic looking axe. So, now the Battle Wagon.
The Battle Wagon has D3 attacks.
So basically attempting to crush this Dreadnought with its big Death Roller, I suppose.
And it hits on 2s because of the Death Roller. Yep. And it is currently strength 4 because it is a little bit wounded.
So wounded on 5s then.
Got a wound!
Okay. And save. Any AP?
No.
He makes it. He stands firm in the name of the Emperor. So now over here with the non-charging units, the normal Orcs here are going to attack first.
The Orc Boy hits on 2s because of the War Banner. Wounds on 4s. That's a wound.
1 save. Failed.
Right hands.
Fails.
And the boss is going to swing. Oh, you should have had an extra attack. That's cool. That's 3 hits. Strength 5, so wounding on 3s. That's 3 wounds. AP dash.
3 saves. All saved. Right, so now that's done, the intercessors are up next. Splitting the attacks on these guys. These 2 marines here are going to attack the knob with the war banner. Everybody else is going to attack the orcs. So 5 attacks first on the knob. Hitting on 3s. And wounding on 4s. For 1 wound.
Haha.
There we go, he's saved. So now it's the remaining 10 on the regular orcs. Hitting on 3s. And wounding on 4s. That's 3 wounds.
Yep.
They're gone. Okay, and I guess they'll probably consolidate towards the knob. Like so. There we go. And finally, it's the Dreadnought. So he has got 4 attacks. And these will hit on 3s. 3 hits. And its strength, 12. So wounding on 3s. So 2 wounds, AP minus 3.
Go straight through. Do I explode? Nope. That's disappointing.
So the battle wagon's gone, trashed by the Dreadnought. Knob with the war banner stands firm over here, shrugging off the pathetic attempts by these Space Marines to bring him down. And that concludes the fight phase completely. And the morale phase is over. No morale tests to take except for the intercessors over here, who only lost 1 man, so they pretty much automatically pass. At the end of the turn, Bob has placed an explosive on the crates with this blob of Gretchen here, and the small blob of Gretchen there as well. They have used the extra explosive stratagem for 1 command point to place another load of explosives on there. So in total, there's 5 explosives on these crates, which means a +5 to the roll at the end of the game to see if these blow up, and on a 7+ it will go up. So at the moment, if Bob rolls anything other than a 1, the crates are going to be destroyed. So the Space Marines' job now is going to be to attempt to get themselves positioned around the crates so that at the end of the game they can use the stratagem that will allow them to cut some of the wires and remove some of those explosives potentially. And also try and get rid of some of these Gretchen who potentially might put even more explosives on there with the stratagem again. So it's all going to come down to a very important dice roll, and at the minute it's not in the Space Marines' favour even remotely. So Space Marines turn 4 up next. So it's the Space Marines turn 4 movement summary, and there's been lots of mad dashing about. The intercessors over here have stayed in combat with the 1 orc knob. They're going to try and bring him down in the fight phase. This Dreadnought has advanced over here towards the Storm Boy who killed that poor little scout. He means to exact vengeance on the Storm Boy, I think. And probably put some Stormbolt rounds into a lot of the Gretchen too. The aggressors have advanced this way towards the crates, as has the lieutenant, the captain, these tactical marines, the librarian. The Redemptor has moved 8 inches along this way, not advancing. And basically, yeah, so everyone's dashing frantically towards the crates because they can hear the ticking from the bombs that are going to go off very soon at the end of the next turn, potentially. So the Storm Raven has come out of supersonic mode. It's now gone into hover mode and moved backwards over here, so it can shoot a bunch of hurricane bolts into the Gretchen, hopefully. And the scouts have moved up over here. They didn't advance, so they'll be shooting as well. So that is the Space Marine movement. I would do the psychic phase. I did remember at this time, but there's sadly nothing really that the librarian can do. So he's not in range to smite anything. Might of Heroes would be pretty useless at this point, and Veil of Time I don't think would be much help either. So, yep. Psychic phase over, shooting phase coming up next. Okay, to quote a certain kind of famous YouTuber that you happen to be wearing a shirt of, Bob. Who is that guy again? What's his name? I forget. Anyway, so pistols first. So these 7 guys are going to be firing their pistols at the knob. Hitting on 3s. And that was not very good at all. Wounding on 4s. 2 wounds.
This guy is a 4+ armor because he's special. Takes 1 wound.
Okay, next up it's the aggressors firing at the big blob of Gretchen right there. It's going to be 18 shots, and it will still hit on 3s. The bolt storm gauntlets are assault weapons, so they can still advance and fire them. And aggressors have a special rule, which means they don't suffer the -1 to hit when advancing and firing. So this is going to be 18 shots hitting on 3s. Okay, now this many wound rolls. Wounding on 2s, because the Gretchen's a toughness 2, and re-rolling 1s because the lieutenant is right there, so this is going to be pure filth, I'm afraid. Re-roll these 1s. Yeah, I'm afraid everything is wounded.
Save 1 of them.
1 Gretchen has been saved by his t-shirt. Well, the aggressors aren't done yet. It's also the Fragstorm grenade launchers. It was 3d6 shots. We got 13, so these will hit on 3s. And again, these will wound on 2s. That's everything wounded. Oh, except for this one. But lieutenant's there, so yeah, everything wounded. 6 up, t-shirt saves incoming. Ooh, did we save any?
2 of them. 8 die.
Okay, so next we've got the Dreadnought here, who is putting his Stormbolter and his Multi-Melter in one of the most ridiculous instances of overkill I can think of in recent memory in 40k that I've played, into the Gretchen. Why? Because he wants to kill the Storm Boy in close combat with his big Dreadnought fist. So yeah, here's the Stormbolt shots, hitting on 3s. 2 misses, so 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. 2 wounds. 1 saved. Okay, 1 Gretchen goes down, and then the Multi-Melter hits. Wounds on a 2. It wounds.
Optimistic.
He's gone. Okay, so now the only thing I've got, I think, left to shoot that can is the Storm Raven over there.
The scouts haven't shot.
Oh, true, yeah, the scouts over here haven't fired it either. I will do them next. Okay, so these scouts have 3 bolt guns that are in range, not in rapid fire range, so 1 shot each, and the heavy bolter shooting at these Gretchen. We'll do the heavy bolter first, hitting on 4s because he moved. Everything misses. They're
really small.
To be fair, they are. And the 3 bolt guns, a little bit better. 2 hits, 2 wounds, 2 dead. Okay, the Storm Ravens shooting next. We're firing the las cannons and the Storm Strike missiles into the guns over here. Are they 1 unit together, or
technically 2 units, and the Gretchen are a 3rd unit.
Ah, okay, right. So we'll fire at the guns. 2 las cannons. 1 hit.
Which gun are you firing at?
The one on the top there. So, yeah, wounding on. I'm gonna say that's cold, I think. Yeah. Okay. So I think it wounds on a 3 probably.
Yeah.
Strength 9. So.
I have a 5+ armor save, so goes through that.
All right. D6 damage. 2. Okay, it's not dead yet. Storm Strike missiles have the same one. Just knocked an aggressor over. Those do hit. And that's cocked again. Man, this gravel looks lovely on the video, I'm sure, but it is dreadful for dice rolling. And that is 2 wounds. It's another 2d6. Oh, sorry, it's not 2d6 at all. It's flat 3 damage for the Storm Strikes.
2d6 and you.
So that gun is gone. And now we've got Hurricane Bolters and Frag Missiles and Lions and Tigers oh my. Okay, so as previously discussed, the Storm Raven is splitting fire. 1 Hurricane Bolter into these Gretchen here, the other one into these. So that's 6 shots into them, 12 into them because of rapid fire range. And because it has essentially the same profile I'm going to roll the d6 for the 2 frag missiles from the Typhoon missile launcher as well, and we'll add these shots to the ones shooting at these Gretchen over here. So that is another 10 shots to add to these. Okay, so here come the combined Hurricane Bolter and Frag Missile shot into this large group of Gretchen in the ruins here. Hitting on 3s. And now wounding on 2s.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dead.
9 times. Bueller. As a certain YouTuber is fond of saying also. Okay, so it's now the remaining 12 shots from the other Hurricane Bolter into this little group of Gretchen here. Hitting on 3s. That was an interesting roll. Okay, well, I mean, there's not as many of them now, so we're saying it's a harder target. That's probably what happened there, right? Surely. So 4. Wounded on 2s. Oh look, one of those failed too. So 3 saves to make.
Yes!
Only 2 Gretchen die. There remains 1 runt herd and 1 Gretchen. So with the shooting phase over, the Space Marines are continuing to mop up what's left of the Orc forces here, but crucially, is it too little too late? Because there's still 5 explosives on that big pile of crates there, which I can only remove a maximum of 2 of using the cut the wire stratagem at the end of the game. So no matter what the Revenants do at this point, their ammo cache is probably going to go up in smoke anyway. But we'll see what happens. It will all come down to that dice roll. So the charge phase now. This Dreadnought into this knob right here.
Overwatch. Missed.
Missed. And just for academic purposes, yes, he's in.
Charge Gretchen.
No, I actually didn't charge the Gretchen. Never mind, it's done. I probably should have charged the Gretchen. Never mind. Alright, so 4 attacks on the Dreadnought, hitting on 3s and wounding on 2s. And there's 2 wounds. And he's dead. Vengeance for the Scout! And now with the only charging unit out of the way, it's going to be these intercessors here ganging up on this one lone knob that's still not dead. 15 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s. Wow, okay, so 3 wounds.
4 points on a save.
That's,
Yep, he's alive. And 1 health. 1 wound left.
credit where it's due, that's impressive.
He's going to fight back.
Yep.
With 3 hits. 1 wound. No AP. But it'll do 2 damage.
Saved. So the stalemate is going to continue for a
Sarge
while
there
longer.
is swinging his banner.
Yep.
He needs to sharpen the points a bit.
He's just bludgeoning them over the head on their helmets, and they're getting stunned a little bit, but not actually dying. So that's the end of the turn, more or less. Have we got any morale to do?
He needs a morale.
Ah, yes.
He has lost 29 of his lads. Plus 6. However, because the Runtard is there with his Squighound, he's going to eat 3 Gretchen instead of any Gretchen running away. So he is eating 1 Gretchen. So Gretchen eaten, and the morale test is passed.
Fantastic! Alright, these Gretchen also took casualties as well, so it's going to be 8 plus d6 running away.
So 10 running away.
Okay, it's turn 5, potentially the last one of the game, and the Orc movement was very quick. I say Orc movement, but there's only 1 Orc left on the
Orcs.
table. 2 Orcs. The rest are Gretchen. These guys shuffled down off the rooftop there. These Gretchen have run forward here, and the Runt Herd, if you can see him there, has dashed forwards and advanced straight up to the crates, bomb in hand, and just slapped it on the side, or at least he will at the end of the turn. His plan all along, it seems, was to use all of his Gretchen, all 30 or so of them, as a meat
60.
shield. 60 of them, apparently.
70 if you include the Gretchen gunners.
Holy crap. But yeah, he's about to deliver his payload. That'll mean 6 explosives in total on the crates, which is...
Yes, if I use another command point.
Yeah, if you use the stratagem, possibly 7, which means you would automatically win if I don't disable some of these explosives in my turn 5. So... this is very interesting. So yeah, the shooting phase, we'll go straight into it, basically.
Right. The Gretchen here are going to shoot the Dreadnought, because they didn't like the way he took out the Storm Boy. That wasn't very nice of him.
Very mean. Big bully.
8 shots, hitting on 4s. Definitely cocked. Yeah. So that's 3 hits. Going to be wounding on 6s. No. Well, they tried hard. So these Gretchen over here are now going to fire their custom mega cannon at the Dreadnought. So it's got D6 shots, 4 shots. Wonderful. Hitting on 4s. Fantastic, 1 hit. And it's going to be wounding on a 3. Yeah. Oh, it suffered a mortal wound during that. Yeah. It's wounded and it's a -3 AP and it'll do D3 damage.
Okay. 6 up save. He made it.
That's just heartbreaking, that is.
It is a little bit.
Anyway, the charge phase.
So with a mighty battle cry, mighty, the Gretchen have charged straight into the side of the Dreadnought and only took 1 casualty to Overwatch. So yeah, they're going to be climbing all over him, sticking knives in.
Loot the Dreadnought!
Yeah.
Put the Storm Boy inside!
Looting him even as he still walks. I like it. So yeah, that's going to be lots for strength 2 attacks against a Dreadnought. This should be funny. Okay, here it comes. The mighty Gretchen smite down this evil Dreadnought.
Hitting on 5s.
With great vengeance.
2 of them hit!
Furious anger. 2 of them have hit. Okay.
No, they need 6s. Come on. Open those doors. Get the cannon openers on.
I'm afraid nothing was done. Well, nothing vital was done. I'm sure they've cracked a few eye lenses and things like that, but loosened a few rivets, but nothing crucial.
Severely confused the guy inside.
Yeah. I mean, he only gets 4 attacks a turn, right? So
those Gretchen are gonna live.
He can't possibly kill all of those Gretchen in this turn. So I guess he'll attack back.
The knob over here would attack first, but carry on. It makes no difference. Carry on.
All right then. Hits with all of them. Wounds.
Hey, you fell to wound
3 of them. Brilliant.
He's gonna live.
3 Gretchen remain there, and now the knob.
It's 3 attacks. 3 times. So cook. There you go.
We'll get there
1 wound.
1 wound.
Just die this time. Yes.
He's gone.
6 plus iron.
Well,
hands.
plus actually we'll have a wound still. Nope, no 6 plus iron hands. So
2 of them because it's a 2 damage weapon.
oh, of course it is. Right, yeah. So another one.
Yes! The knob killed something with his banner. He has clearly sharpened them spikes.
Splat. All right, so the Intercessor's now punching back at the knob. His name is Sarge, apparently, and you know, theoretically they should be able to kill him, right? You would think so, but we'll hit on 3s, and we'll wound on 4 pluses. Okay. So,
This is going to be a problem.
Statistically speaking.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Statistically speaking, he should die.
Believe in the war!
Oh,
He will be warring in the afterlife.
he's probably not dead, that one. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up about half an hour later after the battle's over and wanders off.
'Tis but a flesh wound.
Alright, so I think that's the end of the turn, right?
Yeah.
Morale?
Oh yeah, those Gretchen have lost many. So
Yes.
D6 plus many is lots. Therefore, the squig will eat D3 of them.
Okay.
2.
Squig's getting a lovely
And
banquet
the morale
today.
is kept. Is he within 3 inches? He is within 3 inches, so the charge is being planted. As is his charge being planted.
That's
8 charges.
8.
And the command point
charges.
is being spent for these ones to plant another charge. That is me out of command points.
That's
But
9. That's 9 charges, right?
No, 8 charges.
8 charges.
8 charges.
Which means that if I were to get these Space Marines up here, I have 2 command points left. I could use the cut the wire stratagem twice if the turn ends, and only if the turn ends. Which means that would get it back down to 6 charges. But that would be 6 plus d6, which would at minimum be a 7, which means the crates will explode, and there is absolutely nothing I can do. So that's basically it. That's it. I mathematically cannot disable enough charges to win the game. I should have conserved a few more command points, as it turns out, because that is it. These Space Marines need to get the heck out of here, because that is going to be a hell of an explosion. I'm afraid that's it. Alright folks, this is the way the crates end, it seems. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only Gretchen armed with explosives charging madly at munitions dumps. It's been a fantastic game, to be honest with you. We did discuss off screen the potential of going on to rolling the dice, seeing if we go on to another turn, and if we do, I could potentially try and table the Orks, what's left of them here. But the thing is, we had a look in the rulebook, and I mean, I'm sure you'll correct us if we're wrong, YouTube commenters, but we had a look in the rulebook and we couldn't find anywhere specifically in the rulebook. Maybe it's in an FAQ, I don't know. It doesn't say anywhere that tabling your opponent, certainly in a narrative game, doesn't automatically win you the game, particularly in this one where you've essentially got a timer on the crate. So even if I killed all of the remaining Orks here, you've still got the bombs counting down on the crates that would need to be disarmed, and I can only disarm 2 of them in this game. So that's the way we've decided to play it. Look, plus it's really late and we're tired and we need to finish. But so there it is. It's going to be an Ork victory. They've destroyed the munitions, and the rest of the Space Marines are going to have to flee the scene before this thing detonates after it's 8 explosive devices planted all over it. It's going to be, you're going to be able to hear this thing from continents away, I imagine, when it goes up. So that is the end. I want to thank you very much, Bob, for coming along.
Been good fun.
For being in this first battle report we've ever done. Ladies and gentlemen, I very much enjoyed making this. We enjoyed playing this game. I hope you enjoyed watching it. This is the first battle report I've ever filmed. It's been difficult to try and remember stuff. Bob's helped me a lot with remembering a lot of the stuff I kept forgetting, like the Psychic Phase and my Iron Hands chapter tactics and stuff, and we probably forgot all sorts of other stuff. So it's the first one I've ever done. Please be gentle, everybody. And yeah, I'll see you again in the near future with more battles. The Revenants, hopefully next time, try not to get utterly humiliated by a small army of Gretchen armed with plastic explosive. So thanks everybody, and I'll catch you next time. Alright, one quick addendum. Just for thoroughness' sake, I did roll just to see if the game would have ended. And yeah, I rolled a 1, so the game would have ended on turn 5, and that really would have been it. So that solves that issue. Alright, cheers folks, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for real this time.